Welcome to the Sort of Truth podcast, the alcohol-fueled, chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sort of Truth series with a connection to craft brew on the side. I'm Nate.
And I'm Jade, and on this episode we are tracking our way through Chapter 11 of Blood of the Fold.
Do. It feels ominous, right?
I suppose.
Tracking them down.
I was just thinking of, like, Richard in the forest.
Oh, yeah. Well, he could probably do this. He could actually probably do this really well.
Yeah.
He could follow people. Find people.
He can find whatever he wants.
That's kind of one of the great things about his power, though, right? Just whatever he needs, whenever he needs, that's when it kicks in. Like, what a great fucking power.
Yes, it is very convenient.
I know I'm talking about him like he's Superman, but gosh, that's got to be nice. I can't do magic all the time, but you know what? When it counts, I'm the dude.
You're the dude. So, before we get into this episode, we do want to talk about something.
Another dude.
Yeah, another dude. Maybe a dude. Maybe
maybe
dudette,
not. Honestly, we don't know.
It's a weird thing to say. Anyways, it's a person, okay? So, Nate and I, we get emails and notifications all the time about people reaching out to us in different ways. There's one specific person who comments on Podbean. And Nate and I have tried to gain access to Podbean to comment back, and we are unsuccessful. I don't know why. I don't know what our problem is. I don't know if you know what our problem is.
I keep hitting verify, and they don't send me anything, and I don't know. It's very confusing.
Yeah, well, we've told you guys we're not super great at all of that. But we have somebody who has been consistently, maybe not consistently, but every once in a while they'll pop up there and they will, like, suggest another title for the podcast episodes. And it's interesting because that's probably the worst part of editing the episode for me is at the end when I have to come up with a name. And at first on this podcast, we tried to be more serious. On our other podcasts, they were, like, real weird and crazy, but we tried to be a little bit more toned down.
At first.
Yeah, at first. And they've gotten, there's been a couple that aren't so toned down. The suggestions that we get are like the names of titles that maybe Terry would have chosen.
The more appropriate titles.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, on the crappy calling card, this person suggested, like, the women's apartments or something like that, which totally makes sense. And some of the suggestions that they actually gave us are things like I had considered. Yeah,
they're not bad suggestions.
No, they are actually things that did go through my mind sometimes when I was doing them. It's late at night sometimes when we're making these. And I'm just trying to make it good. So we aren't able to comment back to you. We wish we could. But this is us letting you know that we have received the comments. I'm not really sure the tone of them. I'm going to take them in that way, that they're just like, they're kind of Terry's, closer to what Terry would have named them than what we would name them, maybe.
I think regardless of what it means, it does tell us that whoever it is listening, and so we appreciate them nonetheless. But yeah,
sure.
I feel bad because I don't know how to respond, and I just, a couple of times would be like, hey, I see you. At first, I had it really twisted because, like, I would look at the email and said there's a notification, and I would think that I was looking at the episode name and whatever we named it. And the first, like, two of them, I didn't catch that it was different.
Yeah.
Because it was labeled just the way we did it. And so I was like, oh, okay, chapter, whatever. And then I'd click on it trying to get to the comment.
But you were already looking at it.
But I already was looking at it, so I couldn't get any further, and I was super confused. And then you pointed out to me, like, no, Chapter 6 title was actually called this thing. This is something different. And it's been fairly consistent. And, like, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I personally think it's cool. It means they're listening and, like, that's what they would call it. And they should.
I kind of wish that there was a way that we had enough time for me to edit the episodes and then send them to whoever you are and be like, here, give me a title, and then I will upload it, because it would save me probably more time than you think.
Longer than editing.
Yeah, even with all of that.
What do I call it?
Okay, so with that out of the way, this chapter opens with Brogan and Galtero trying to tie everything together. Okay, they're still hanging out. This is right after the nipple pile situation on the table. Grandma Honey said that only a wizard could do a death spell. So now finding a wizard is on the agenda. This is a new little dot on their to-do list.
Right.
And so Galtero tells Brogan what's been going on in the city, and Brogan is pretty sus of the Daharans and everything that's going on there. He doesn't like the way that they were all praying to Richard, even the people out in the country, because Galtero, he went like all the way through the city and then out into the farmland.
He personally rode all the fucking way out there just to see if everybody on the far reaches was doing it.
Yeah, and he said that none of these people gave a shit that him and his men are running up. Like, none of them, like, grabbed arms and were like, don't fuck with us. They didn't care. Because they were all doing this praying thing with their heads on the ground, you know, the bond. They were all given the devotion.
Right. And that's what it is. It is the devotion. I kind of like the way that this chapter is set up because you do see some stuff from Brogan's point of view. Not that it's necessarily good, just that from his point of view, everybody in all of Dahara started acting very weirdly because of this guy, right? And everybody, even to the furthest reaches of the country, is doing this weird thing, and you already freaked out by magic.
Yeah.
So this would stick into your head.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But, so it's a bad thing that's happening, but we know that this is the devotion. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it was given for a good reason.
And we know why Richard is, like, so fucking going to have it done right now.
Right, exactly. Like, it's a big deal, but to Brogan, you don't see that from his perspective, and you get why he's just like, don't like that. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's weird.
We should stop that.
Well, and also the religious side of it, there's always going to be, like,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
pray to false idols and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, after the prayer was done, though, all the people fucking cheered. They all were, like, having a great old fucking time. It was not, like, a sad thing that they were doing. They weren't, like, praying or bowing down in submission and then being sad about it. They were like, fuck yeah, we just prayed.
It was a good thing. Yeah, it's a good vibe.
Yeah.
However, me being who I am physically, if I had to get down on the ground and pray and, like, keep bowing down for how long does this go? Couple hours?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a long time, dude.
My knees would hurt so
yeah,
bad.
no, I mean it. I ain't doing shit tomorrow or for the rest of today. We're talking about laying in bed and doing stretches, and that is it.
Well, while I think that you are a great specimen of man, I will say that the Daharans are in better shape.
Yeah.
It's not a shot at you. They're just, like, in really good shape, okay?
Well, they don't have all this delicious craft beer we've been drinking,
Right.
so that's probably got something to do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Oh, well, I'll keep my beer.
But, okay, so after the cheering and the praying, they burn 2 bodies. We know that this is Hallie and the nameless dead dude.
The soldier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a funeral pyre. It's super sad. But to these people, it could look like they're burning, like, their enemies, like, or a sacrifice or something. Like,
And it didn't point that out necessarily in the chapter. That's the vibe I was getting. Seeing everything from Brogan's point of view. Like, the first thing, they were praying. They weren't praying. It was a devotion. It's a different thing. But now he sees them lighting up bodies just in the square.
Yeah.
And that would worry me. You know what I mean? This is a lot of people who are now acting up, and then they did this thing, prayer, and now they're burning bodies. Like, it's escalating.
Yeah. Now, it is a little bit strange because I feel like if they didn't say anything, then he could have walked away with this assumption. But I would assume that some words would have been said by somebody when they burned the body. So why the fuck didn't you keep one of your guys there to report back to you when they burned the bot? Like, tell me what they say. Because, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It would creep me out, too, to see them burning bodies. I would want to know why they're burning bodies and listen to the great guy on the fucking microphone. I'm sure they have a guy on the microphone, right?
Well, Richard would be the guy on the microphone.
Right!
Yeah. But they didn't get a good look at Richard either.
No, they did not.
And that's important.
So maybe they just couldn't get close enough. Because he did say he didn't want to, like, creep up through the crowd. piss anybody off.
Yeah, now that I think about it, he knew what they were saying. He recites the chant. That's how they know it was for Richard.
He knew the devotion.
The devotion, right.
But everybody was saying the devotion. So, like, he could have heard that the whole time.
Right. They don't know why it's being said.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if any words were said over the funeral pyre, he may not have been able to hear that if he was not close enough.
He might not have been right there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Okay, so Galtero,
heavy Texan.
Yeah, tells Brogan that they'll. I don't know why. I don't know why. What they're doing. I don't know what's happening. Tells Brogan that they'll know more soon because they've just been summoned by the Lord Rawl. They assume he's just trying to cement his place on top of the Midlands before joining with the Order. Like, everybody here is under the Order. We all know we're all working for the Order now.
Right.
He knows that he's not really going to stand against the Order. He's just trying to make sure that he secures his position before anybody bigger than him comes into town.
Right. Well, and the Order's coming and taking over, so it's best if you're in charge when they show up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I won't fight you. You do whatever the hell you want with these people. I'm the leader of these people.
Yeah.
So I'll work for you.
Yeah. And
that's what Brogan is assuming Richard's plan is.
Yeah.
But that's not the fucking plan. Okay?
No, you're a little off. And Brogan would rather be going after Kaelin, but they don't really have a choice because all the palaces on King's Row are surrounded by guards, so they have to go see Richard before they can do anything because they're not going to take no for an answer.
We could refuse, but I'm pretty sure they're going to kill us. So maybe we had better just go.
Yeah, I feel like
let's go.
I feel like Galtero kind of like buried the lead there. He was like, so we're kind of invited over here to this place and like, I don't know, you might not want to go, but like, oh yeah, we're being forced. Like they're escorting us, but really we don't have a fucking choice.
Yeah, they're not even giving them the choice to really just come on their own accord.
No.
They're saying, no, we're here. When you're ready to leave, we will walk with you.
Yeah.
You are from this moment on not leaving our sight.
The only place you're going is with us.
Ooh, that's fucking scary. Like, okay, they gave you a palace to hang out in while you were here because you're a representative or whatever, but that's bad news.
And don't take too long putting your makeup on or we're coming in.
It's like the last episode. I'd disappear, dudes, man.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Gone. They will never hear from you again.
So, Brogan thinks about his 500 men, and the fact that they have Lunetta too, who has undisclosed powers. Like, we know she can tell the truth. Well, not really the truth. She can tell if somebody is lying.
Right.
Which
That's
is not the
what
same
we know
thing
so
as knowing
far.
the truth.
Exactly.
But yeah, she seems to be able to have some other powers under there too, because he's using her in his head as a line of defense. So she can obviously shoot some shit out of her hands or something. But he doesn't think they're gonna win in a fight, and we know Brogan only gets into fights he knows he can win, so he's gonna go along with it. He's not gonna fight.
Right. No, fuck no. He's not gonna die for anything because, I mean, although he's very, I don't know, he's, I guess, idealistic or whatever. He's like, I don't know. I kind of see him as a bit of a coward. I'm all for this thing, and I'm powerful and in control and in charge of a large group of very violent people. And so you're going to do what I say. But if he doesn't have the advantage, he feels very vulnerable. And then he's like, nah, not.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone wants to have the advantage. But to say that you're not going to go into a fight unless you absolutely have the advantage, like, that you know you're going to win, that's, I mean, granted, you're not going to lose fights.
Right, but it also makes it hard to see why he would be placed in charge of a group like this, because you need people who are going to win no matter the odds. Now, you're never going to have 100%.
Right, but he does, because he's not
for
fighting
like
fights he
75%.
Yeah.
Even if you had a losing disadvantage, half of the time we want you to win. That's about a C average. That'll be good enough. But if you're 50-50, that means if the enemy is prepared, you are definitely not winning that fight.
If you're only going up against C-class people, but you're winning every one, you're only a C